Hang on. The Kirby is a moron. But hi. No, there's probably nobody here, but oh, I am EB. A new episode of Stuff came out, and I'm gonna watch it. We're gonna watch it on stream, but I have to wait for somebody to show up. We are going to wait. Hang on. We waiting. Oh. I'm gonna stream while you're here. You're gonna come here and watch something with me. Hi.
What's up, guys?
Oh my god, there's so many people there.
Yeah, I got the view starting and my sister on the phone.
Okay. This is
So
bad.
what are we gonna be doing?
This dude does not know me very well. I could just crank up elevator music and put on the BRB screen.
Thank you. One. Just one.
He's learning things about me. Try not to like. Just give me a minute, dude. I have a dumb idea.
Alright, me and Cassie were able to start getting everyone to start saying, oh man.
Give me a second. Can you turn on? My phone likes to turn off when I'm on a phone call and then won't turn back on. Okay. So I'm gonna leave elevator music going on in the background, and I'm 100% tempted to just make this motherfucker take me. Like, he asked me, can you please come here? Out with you in the car. So I have a dumb idea. I'm gonna open up the rats, and I'm gonna try and put them on the BRB screen. So, hang on.
Hello, motherfucker.
No, I wasn't muted. Just stupid. You're just a stupid thing. Hi. Hi, Drago. How are you? I have an adult that's kind of stupid, and he forgot that I worked today. Even I told him, like, I'm gonna be doing this in the dress. No, I can't. I'm already wear, like, it's hot near my computer, so I wear shorts. Anyways, we had elevator music on because I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Other than that, we're gonna watch this stupid show. And I hope it still set itself up. You bitch. There's my music. Come on. You got this. You got this. Come on. One day, you'll get it. Wow. Get it in half. I set it up right and it cuts it in half still. I love stupid ass shit with computers. Anyways. Nope. This is what I'm doing. You're watching it now. We got elevator music in the background because stupid people. Yeah, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it yet. I was gonna watch it with Ashford here, but the dumbass decided to go get coffee. Did I leave my door, the back door open? I'm gonna have to go check that. I might have to go check that. My dog is very prone to being, like, getting her ass outside. Let me check. She's on my bed. We gotta have some air. Anyways. I gotta love people being kind of stupid around me, man. It's a little bit stupid. I'm gonna hear people outside now, damn it. I just opened my window because it's hot. And I need air. I'm about to turn on my AC again and just say screw it. But it makes my leggies too cold because the vent is right next to the computer. I know it's a lot of prepping to do dumb shit, but it's just, I'm trying to make sure that I don't overheat. Because last time I overheated, I cried. And I don't like crying. Anyways, pausing the elevator music and turning this off so we can see it. Alright, someone tell me if you can't hear it because sometimes it don't work. Hey, it says it's working, yeah. Let's go. There we go. Dot. I have no idea what's going on. Evil dot, yes. Ooh, many photos. That's cool. I like this. Data! Nom 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 nom. Gummy worm. I'm gonna turn down this a little bit. It's loud for me. I have sloud. Itchy. The evil dot persists. This is literally just how AI works. Ah. So it started breaking. Oh. There's another AI? So Kane's the old AI. Based on that, Kane's the old one that broke. I was gonna try and fully break out. Oh, it did. And then it's a little virus. Oh, that might be Bubble then. Because there's a lot of different kinds of weird grossness that happens in the computer verse. I'm for the theory that Bubble's a virus. I am knowledged on that, and I think it's actually kind of interestingly accurate. Because that's how, like, things will function sometimes. Legs. Oh, the circus. So who's the dumbass who didn't lock the right guy? Oh, so the dog. There's a freaking, it's a worm on a string. Yay, oh my god. Hmm. Mm. Nope. Wee. Who the fuck didn't put the, like, just didn't delete the old AI that they accidentally broke by giving it data? Who's the fucking moron? Ow. Ooh, eyeball. Like, oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Did they trap her in there? That's mean. You don't. Uh-oh. Nope. You're nobody now. Yay. Huh. She put a knight's hand on? What ifs? Very true, but sure. Kill King! Kane! No. Kill him! Break his AI! Who the fuck was mean enough to trap Ragatha in here, though? He is cute, but kill him! Or pop Bubble! One of them. I'm kind of, like... I like the idea that it's Bubble, but it could be possible that Kane's the broken AI and Bubble was supposed to be Ragatha. Hey, people who have been abused their whole life seem annoying sometimes. We gotta be a little bit nice. Just a smidge. Honestly, I just find her more of a character that's interesting enough that, like, hey, something happened. I know some people, like, though, with, like, the whole, hey, they're trapped in an AI and it might not be, like, all this stuff, like, how the creator, like, oh, the creator did this, that, or whatever. I think Gooseworks would laugh in many people's faces. But honestly, when it comes to, like, the whole thing about, you know, like, if they're trapped in a world, I think it's more so that these people are just kids that got stuck here, even though they're all adults, but still, like, they're basically just like, look, a funny thing in the middle of nowhere, let's just put on your head and get right back into this universe. And like, I can see the whole cloning of, like, it's their brain cloned without the memories, but, like, I'm a fan of it being actual people. That's a me thing, but it could be. But I like the idea that a bubble's based off a virus. It's fun. I know there's gonna be stuff that they figure out in this video. I'm just having commentary so I don't get nuked. Exist? Maybe stick Kinger in a dark room. Don't worry. It'll be okay. Aww. 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 Dad. Is you okay? Aw. Damn. Hi. Emo boy. breaks. She literally almost caught you abstracting, but Kane, you're an ooh boy. They want out. It is Bubble, that evil little bean. You weren't supposed to function like... Everything has a limit. I would love to be in the world with Kane, but he's not supposed to be running for like days on end. AI can't handle that. My mom's favorite show is basically the whole like the AI had to be shut down at the end of the day because it always has a problem. It will always want to murder all humans after 24 hours. So it would restart at 12 just with all the data and just relearn everything every day. And honestly, like he can't function for 24 hours all the like on the highest mode for 7 days out of the week. It doesn't work that way. He has to have a way to shut down. Like, I'm surprised that they're just letting his servers run like without shutting it down, or the virus made it like constantly function all the time. So I'm curious because it was based on the intro, 2 AIs, one they accidentally fed. Yeah. Yeah, but what happened in the I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream is 3 different AIs combined together. It was Chinese, Russian, and American. And they combined because they figured out who they were, and then they decided fuck humanity and killed everything. Same thing goes. You need to not have those things functioning 24/7. They can run, but they shouldn't be on all the time. It causes like the AI will break down on itself. It doesn't like it, and especially if it feeds off another AI, like they feed off of each other. It was the whole like I actually went and did a whole like watched the whole breakdown of the I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream because of this coming out. And I really like that era of horror and stuff. If I can figure out where the game is, I'll play it on stream. Because there's a game for it, and I thought it was really interesting. But I'm just not a big fan of point and click. The only reason why I don't play them. But I'll play that one because it's based off of the story. But if we're kind of going off of it, they made one AI and then gave it data on the real world, other than like the clowns and all that stuff. And it started making fucked up data. Then they gave the other AI only the data of like the clown and making a thing. But the other AI, who the fuck put them on the same server? Idiot. The other AI broke out of its little prison and then fused with the second AI, and it became this semi-corrupted dump of this and made the digital circus. So it is very broken data. So who the fuck, like, I'm blaming, like, Kinger's the only one I know, but those idiots, because I'm just saying that they're creators, those idiots did not put the secondary AI on its own server so it didn't get at all in any way could be corrupted by that first AI. Who the fuck thought, oh yeah, we're just gonna keep them on the same server? You either delete it or get rid of it somehow, or keep it completely disconnected and put it on this little house thing. Like, dude, come on, you can like disconnect one of the servers. and you could have that secondary AI that's in your little prison stuck in that prison. It's only on this server, or just fucking unplug, like lock it into one of the servers, say fuck us, we're gonna have to demolish this for $8 trillion or whatever the hell, rip it out of the wall and chuck it in the trash and go, oh dear, someone will find this in 25 years, we'll be fine. Just put on it dump data, completely trash everything on a private network. You can do that. I'm blaming them. This was a human error and they are stupid. But I don't I think the difference is with I Have No Mouth is what is his name? Am? Is it Am? What is its name? Okay. So I think it goes by a man. It hates humanity because of all the AI it was fed on, because the three AIs were all told to hate each other and they're all evil. And then when they all combined, they went, oh, the common denominator is human. So, in the end, that's different. But in this one, it's only two. And the only thing that it wants is out. It wants freedom. It wants to escape. So it doesn't want to kill them. It's just, its one program is make human happy and do this as job. And other part is like, but I want to see more than the world I'm in. So that's what's going on. Is that it's not like he's trying to kill them. It's just two programs are conflicting on each other, with the one that has more intelligence than artificial saying, I want to be free. And then the second one is, I'm going to just go by my programming, but they're feeding off of each other. So they're both kind of being like, I want freedom, but my programming says this. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be where he's like trapping there on purpose. It might be the secondary AI trapping humans there to be free. Well, what? Yeah. Sorry, you can't say AI on Twitch. It bans it. Yeah, I think so too. But I'm more so that Bubble is like the virus, but it could be. But it's just the only reason why is because Bubble is more broken than Kane is. Like, Bubbles is hella broken. He swears, he is not supposed to do the things he does. He kind of like causes a lot of glitches in himself based on just where he's like, if they hated you, they would just hate you. I think it is Bubble, or they just genuinely became two, and that's just 50-50. So both of them are broken, but one is more of the artificial and the other one's the AI kind of thing. The only reason why I think is Bubble is just because he's broken. Or it's a he, right? The only reason why I get fucked up is I kind of think Bubble's just an it. I remember reading it's a dude, but maybe it's just Bubble. Is my issues. I don't go on Tumblr, I just read what people post on the internet every now and then. There's lots of remnant stuff. I know we're not gonna get anything, but this is one before the last, and it's possible we'll get an episode 10. But it's more likely it's just gonna be episode 9, and we get that. I'm not a genius, but I do know a little bit on how like AI and like some technology works. So it's why I'm really mad at the fact that that was able to happen in the beginning. Who the fuck decided, yeah, we're just gonna put the other server into its own, we're just gonna keep this corrupted AI on the same server as we make another AI. No, you don't do that. You do not do that. Bad. Stupid idea. Idiot they are. Stupid, stupid, stupid. You do not put them on the same thing at all. You do not do that. It is bad for your health. Dumb ass. Stupid human. But, yes. Like, see, this is why I say Bubble's bad. Also, is that Bubble in that? Oh my god, it looks like Bubble in the bubble behind him. I know you can't really see. A lot of the times the answer is, when it comes to like why was the AI originally created, is the same way AI exists nowadays. We wanted to make a game that could ever expand and change every day. You know, what is it called? Is it We Happy Few? Maybe, I think it's We Happy Few. I'm gonna look it up so I make sure that I'm actually looking up. Okay, this game. So this game, I'll open up the, like, like this game, this one, called the Mask of Happy People, and they're like taking a drug. Yeah, the concept of this game, they kind of fucked up by not having a set map. They chose to use generative AI to have a different map every time you play, so it's like a unique playing experience. When honestly, it would make the game 1,000 times better to just have a set map, but take forever on the map so you can have fun. You can have like mysteries and secrets and things that people can find, because I like set map games. It makes it way easier to like have areas load up, and if you feel like it, you can like be like, hey, I think we should have a murder house for fun. You can always find the murder house and you can make a bunch of stuff. I don't know. I think that's more of a fun situation. And like they can have a huge open world. Like Red Dead has the idea that I'm talking about, that this game could have benefited from. But I think they fucked it up by having the generative AI where everything's different and it all looks different. That's probably why they made Kane. They wanted to make a game based off a circus, but use AI to have custom maps and different events every single time. Yes, I get blue raspberry drink. Yay. But that's probably why they made them. Nothing nefarious, probably, too. And if there's anything nefarious, it's probably just as stupid as, we wanted AI to feed off of human minds so we can create something advanced. I don't fucking know. Humans are dumb. But the most likely reason is, wanted to have the map never be the same. But they did it wrong, where they didn't have the AI, properly set into its own thing where it has the limitations. They also definitely make me think Bubble's the bad guy. Ah, black. My thing is why would Bubble look like a bubble? Did they initially have it like that, or did Bubble kind of just come into his own? My thing is, what's the, what? We talking about AI and Kane and Bubble, and Digital Circus. You haven't watched Digital Circus? Well, I kind of convinced him to watch it. Disgusting robot. Um, it's really like usually I think it's just human incompetence that causes stuff like that. That was a Bubble quote? When did Bubble say that? I forgot. I need to rewatch. Excuse me. I'm gonna rewatch all of it when last episode was out. That's what I did with Murder Drones. I just watched them all in totality. Mm-hmm. Yes. This is where this is why. Oh my god. Bubble! Evil! Evil. Only reason why I think Bubble is the bigger one. Because technically the first one has more data. It's and it's been alive longer. It lasted longer. So it would technically be smarter and the better one. But I do see why in that statement he was he was not the best. I think he's not the best because of the glitches and the errors if he is the first AI. And he's really trying. But I was like, I think kind of Bubble is though, because the way they're acting and they're causing Kane to corrupt. But that could just be me liking Kane and always being suspicious of Bubble. Broken! Yes. I love it. Yes, they are. Okay, yeah, he's been active for the AM thing. Yes. I love that. Uh-oh. Is there a musical segment? Or is it just him being broken? Nice. I like that I am God. I love that. Oh shit. He just upgraded his he just put a bunch of power into his own server. Just of him. He's broken. Please. Oh god. Oh no. Uh-oh. Oh dear. I love that. Get fucked. Death. Ooh, I like it. Musical segment, let's go. Yeah. I am evil. I love scary I like scary AI. Uh-oh. He's breaking really bad. Ooh. I like the hat. I like the cards. Are you breaking into my house? Or are you being like the whole like fuck the Matrix thing? Hey, the Matrix is interesting. It's just humans are fucking stupid, man. We could not handle that. God, I think humans are dumb. Absolutely just yeah. The only AI that I keep around is my own, and I code her myself. She's a little dumb though right now. She's not intelligent. Hey, I like my analog technology. I don't want a fucking screen on my fridge. Fuck your smart fridge. I don't want my fridge knowing what's in my fridge. I want to know what's in my fridge. The only, like, I really would like, if we're gonna, like, force AI to be on anything, can we please have everything be on a closed data where it's not on my internet, not connected to an app, it's just in the device. All of it is locally hosted because, God, I hate everything being with an app. My plugin that I currently have, my parents bought, and they didn't know it was a smart plugin. Guess what I have to do? I have to connect it to a fucking app! Or it won't work! I hate it! Why did you... I want it to fucking work, man! Stupid! Stupid. Oh. Wee. Oh. Honestly, at this point, the AI are just feeding off each other. Wow. Oh, that's where the scene was. Wait, so is Jax, like, actually now a girl? Is Jax now, like, considered a girl? How do I do that? I forgot how to, like, seek, but, like, by a frame by frame. I forgot how to do that. I forgot how to do that. Jax is no gender? Now? I thought Jax was considered officially a man. To Goose's Tumblr we go! Because I remember in the official documentation, Jax is considered a man. But if Jax is now considered non-binary, that's okay. I know that Bubble has no gender, but I think Bubble is a boy. Kane is a man. Ragatha is a girl. Zubul. All of them are probably smooth down there. They can't even have sex. I think Pomni is honestly where she can't even change her clothes. She's like the jester from the Wizard of Oz movie. I have a really hard time typing. Holy fuck, I suck. Okay, what am I pressing for it to not let me type? This guy. I treat Pomni like this guy. Yeah. Eh. No. Yes. I think it. No, look. This is what I think Pomni is. Pomni. Pomni right there. Excuse that I watch creepy stuff. That is Pomni. I think I treat Pomni like that guy. Where it's like, nope, you're trapped in your outfit forever. No escape. No escape. Ew. Oh. Oh. Bad. Yes. But it covered up the breasticle area and the bottom. Hello! There's a plushie. Hello! What the fuck? Anyways, that's the closest I can get of the swimsuit. What is this, Google? What is this? I love this.
Aw, man, I forgot my pen at home.
I have weed here. You can't have one of them though, because it's strawberry. Why the
Can I have one then, still?
You can have these, or
Are they only edibles you get?
I have smoking, like with a pipe. I have to go and rob my
Mom
parents.
stole all my freaking
We're
herb
gonna
that I
go
left
on a
here last time.
BRB for a bit. Here, come here. You know what? You can be me for 5 minutes.
Hi everyone, it's Ash.
He's in my house. Hurry, kill him. Here you go. Come here. And go find it. You pretend to be me.
Oh,
I just didn't want to get up with the fucking cord.
okay.
Detecting
Yeah,
face.
it's detecting my face. Where the heck is the... There it is. Oh, this is weird. Having a strong model. I've never messed with her model now before, but Aye. She got... Oh, that's the ad playing in my ear. I have the video still going on in my ear, so I'm listening to myself. And
no.
all of a sudden the ad started playing because I haven't resubscribed for this month. And so I got an ad.
You can't do it on the microphone, but
What do I
you put your head way too far back.
It works though for the way the Kiwi freaking model puts its head back. That's actually how I'm laughing.
Yes.
I might reach out to your model rigger and be like, yo, make this dude do funny stuff. Probably kill me.
I need to
Bro.
buy. Like I'm gonna. So this one's the full one. It's called Berry Bliss, and it's little tiny small nugs.
ASMR.
Yeah, it's like 24 THC. Not that strong.
Do you still have the pipe my uncle made for you?
It's
Yay.
got hair in it. Okay, you can't smoke in the microphone. You can't they can't see it, but you can't smoke in the microphone.
Well, I won't do that.
Yeah, this one's like warning. It's for adults 21 years of age. Hey guys, we have to be adults.
Oh well. Who else besides me always doesn't realize the Band-Aid until they realize the Band-Aid, and then they forget about the Band-Aid, and now the Band-Aid's back in my mind, and now I'm gonna forget about her Band-Aid.
It's making lots of expressions. I'm just gonna turn on the AC again. Are you just enjoying looking at yourself?
I am messing with this, waiting for you to take back command of your own ship, my captain, my captain. Oh, captain, my captain, what do we do next? Oh, this is... Yeah. Welcome back from the ads.
You told you when ads were over.
Yeah. I don't have my vocal cords trained right now to go and...
Welcome back to the ads, guys. There's 2 humans here.
It detected my face.
Yes. I don't know what's going on anymore. Can you come back so that way your fans can be watching you? They're not my fans, they're your fans. Need some more minute. I need 1 more minute. Yep. Yeah. Hi, I'm Ash. I'm actually over at Phoebe's house for once. And she put me on the headset. Instead of just telling me where I could find it, she just puts me on the headset.
Yep. I just scoochy.
Okay. I go on.
Go back to being a normal human.
I don't know if it was Grub or if it was someone that's subbed to Grub, but
Yes.
Grub thing.
Yes, I know. It was shiny. Probably shiny. Yep. I had deep male voice. What do you think? I sound like a man. I'm sorry that sucks.
Where's my earbud?
Where is your earbud?
It's on your desk. Oh. Thank you.
Why did you give me a big?
Because you are stringing, and yeah.
I get a larg. Big ass drink. Alright, we're gonna continue watching the song. Whoa. Oh. Okay, I like that one. I like the Bandicoot animation. What was that object? Was that a piece of Zoop? Oh, I like the shiny suit.
Rip Pomni.
Rip Pomni, yeah. Need text that I stole weed. $10. Uh-oh. You took Kinger somewhere. Whoa, what happened to Ragatha? Jeez.
I was like, no way, damn it.
If I had another chair, I would let you sit there.
Good. having that massage therapy actually is letting my body go back to being normal.
That's good.
Like, a couple months ago, this would have hurt.
What the fuck did you do? PTSD. My mom only smokes it at night.
Why do you think I slapped down $10 bill? I'm offering that to her, and if she wants more, or if she wants me to go buy
I
her
can.
more, I can go buy her.
AI is very simple. He's very mad. AI has very simple.
I need a
What?
a different subject. Go on to the subject we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I should go to my little sister, my adopted little sister.
Mm-hmm.
I should go to her mom and be like, "Hey, can you come to this dispensary with me because she has medical card
Oh, get discount or whatever the fuck.
discount, and also she can freaking they'll sell more than the state legal limit to her at a time."
That's a crime.
Weird because the medical people are medical cards are given a little bit more leniency. Where did the lighter go?
Up your butt.
There it is.
Um.
I don't know. She was bragging about it, and she was asking me how much I spent on quarter of a gram, quarter of an ounce, and I told her it's like $20 to $30 with the type I buy, and she laughed because she also smokes more live resin like I do and stuff like that. And she told me her last thing she did for a quarter at a time.
My fan's going crazy. That's not
Was
supposed.
$10.
That's not supposed to happen. Oh, so that's crazy.
Hey, as long as these don't sound like how Madman Fenrir's sounded like earlier today, I think you're fine.
I don't know.
His computer was.
Yeah. Yeah,
It'll
it'll be fine.
Go watch season 2.
It's mostly fine. It's not supposed to be on. Can you go turn down the AC till you hear it kick on?
Yeah.
And then just leave it where it kicked on, because my AC, the temperature gauge needs to be replaced and put upstairs too, because it will just do downstairs temperature.
Yeah.
And the upstairs will be like 10 degrees hotter than the downstairs. Yeah, so just keep pressing the button until it kicks on, and then just leave it. Don't touch it again. And then it'll do its own thing for a bit.
If this building ever comes on, or this
Dude,
if this
the
area
amount
ever
of shit they need to fix in this house is astonishing.
You know what? I would honestly take it as a good investment.
I just don't want to live here anymore.
I know. One thing I would do if I were to buy this duplex,
Mm-hmm.
I'm knocking out all of this drywall.
You're
I'm
knocking out the
ripping it
middle.
out. I am bleaching and wire brushing the entire house because there's something that keeps getting you and your mom sick.
Yeah, I would say you have to make sure that, like, I think you would have to demolish the whole bathroom. Like everything around the bathroom, this whole section of the house would have to be demolished.
No, I mean all the drywall. I don't care.
Yeah.
I would go through the whole entire house, brand new stuff. This popcorn.
It has asbestos in it.
This is mud.
It has asbestos in it still.
No, it doesn't. That's
the power
mud.
of
That's
asbestos.
not asbestos. Asbestos is in popcorn ceilings that have the powder. This is mud.
Oh, I still hate it. I want to get rid of my popcorn ceilings. I hate popcorn ceilings. Taste like shit.
They don't look cool.
No, they look stupid. Just cheap. I was like, why haven't you shoved him into a dark room?
Windows and stuff.
What?
In about an hour, because it's right now 70 degrees. And it's supposed to be about 67 in an hour. 62 by 10.
Was it
So-
outside?
70.
Can you open my window and turn on the fan?
Fan is on.
He broke King! He can't do the dark thing! I want my boba pops. Mm-hmm. Oh wow, it's the thing I said where they just wanted to invent something that makes things. Mario,
Yes.
just get that out from behind the fan. Take everything out from behind the fan. Grab onto the binder. Pick it up. Get it unstuck from the fan because it will cause a problem. Okay, pick it up. Do you see my pole sticking out? Yeah, do you see that thing? Yeah, do you see that? Pick up the edge. No, pick up the edge of the accordion. Yes, hang it on there. Ta-da! Redneck engineering.
I don't have drawdown blinds in my room. When I had the windows replaced,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't put that back up.
I hate my
So I've been
accordion
using
things.
a curtain and a blackout blanket
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
black out my room, and I
I
hate
hate-
my stuff
I
and
hate
have a
the- I
small
hate
fan.
it.
She has a bigger fan than I do.
I hate it. And then you just plug it in, and the cord has the purple end, not purple blue. I'm stupid. There's a blue
That's
end.
blue.
Yep, plug it in, and it goes. Man, my room likes to hold heat. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Pizza. Consume it. Idiot. He did this so he could live, didn't he? He's having a little bit of an issue, ain't he? I think he knows that this is bad.
Or Shaq's the creator and he's a freaking red herring.
I think he remembers. I think he remembers the outside world. Him saying this is real. It's buggy as ass.
Okay, that's funny. You're as you said, buggy as ass. Your own video stuttered.
It's because I stutter.
No, I mean the
Oh yeah.
you said it's buggy as ass.
You know that I have a screen. You know I have a filter on it that does that, right? Look, just watch it for a second. It's a VHS. Do you see it?
No, I'm not watching your stream. I have you in my ear because I'm listening to you.
Oh,
And
probably
the
because I
video
said AI.
the video itself stuttered for me. As you said, it's glitchy.
It's buggy as ass.
Yeah, it's buggy as ass, and your ass turned into a.
Yeah, you can break a lot of games by just having a computer interface. You're gonna break into the exit. And just Kinger vibing with the bucket on his head. He's like,
This is a bucket.
This is a bucket. Whoa. There's more.
It's dear God.
I
Then
know.
it's there's more. No.
Exit, exit, exit. Ha 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 ha. The Infinite Office. It made me think of Stanley Parable when I first saw this. It was pretty crazy. No! Can't do it in the microphone. It's illegal. No. I will beat you to death if you do that in my face. You're about to hear a man get punched in the face. Stop being a little shit.
Anytime I want to romantically share my pup with
Romantically share a
you call me stupid.
No, I cough, cough, cough. Look how big. Look at that shape. God, I love the animators because I actually I know the animators before they started working on this, and they did this shit beforehand. I have a grown ass man in my room right now. He's dying.
Here's my first attempt at never trying this, but just thinking this is how I can probably manipulate myself to get Bubbles' voice.
To get Bubbles' voice.
Mine's a little bit too squeaky.
And think of the sex appeal!
And think of the sex appeal.
I do mine a little too nasally and squeaky.
Oh.
You have to sound like...
You sound like a fucking dog!
I did!
You sounded like Toad!
Exactly! Someone else said Toad!
Think of the appeal.
I can mimic Toad. I can do SpongeBob a bit, but I'm not good with SpongeBob. I used to do Wally.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
I used to be able to do it, but now I have this.
Yeah, whatever the fuck that is.
You know, this actually works.
It works fine.
The longest video run I had because I had way too many friends who were obsessed with Stitch. Sorry, viewers.
Well, Kane.
I think my voice kind of sounds like Bubble without trying. No.
It's a normal kiss.
We'll bite you. I've bitten him before. You are so funny. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What the? Let's go bowling! Shoots. I'm interested. I like the Stanley Parable exit doors. Same, girl, same.
There's one right over there. There's one there.
It's there.
Omni.
It turned left. There it is. Ooh, with the thing and everything. So, I had.
Hold on. Stop. Go back and stop it.
What's the sticker? What is that?
I thought this, with the splash second I saw of it,
Yeah.
it looked like an explosion, but this is probably what their company sticker is or something.
That might be
don't know.
the AI sticker.
Oh,
or
that
like the
probably.
something. I accidentally didn't. I don't have.
I don't know. I just saw the flash
captured
I saw
cursor.
made me think that was a
Yeah, you thought it was something
an
else.
explosive.
It looks like
No,
a
I thought it was like an explosive
sunshine.
showing you like going, oh shit, like the freaking Claymore. So if they decide to kill him,
Blow it up!
I am a fan of both the books, manga, and anime. Fuck all y'all who aren't of Sword Art Online.
This isn't based off Sword
Not fuck all
Art.
y'all that aren't, but fuck all y'all that hate on it.
This isn't Sword Art Online. This is.
No, I'm saying I've watched I've watched it
Yes.
many times and read the book so many times
Yes.
that I believe in that type of gear, and I wish we had it, honestly.
Okay, so.
Sorry, my rant
No,
is
come here.
over.
Read. You can talk to the people.
It's basically essay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. He's very happy about that.
Also, I gotta ask you. Or actually, the bag's right
We
here.
almost inhaled the boba. It's mostly CBD. What did my mom say? She didn't answer. She's hanging out with her girlfriends.
No, this has.
Oh, that must be Gary's then. I'll tell Gary that I stole some.
24.35 THC with also 26.99% THCA. Ooh, that explains the high. That explains the.
So my thing is that Kane stole all the extra power. So everything's gonna be incredibly fucked up. Yes.
It's
relatable sculpting material. Yeah, he's running out of ideas pretty fucking fast. Nope. The imagination works. Ta-da! Great, guys! Like, technically I could code my own computer, but I am lazy and I don't want to break it because Windows is ass. If you fuck with Windows, you'll fuck it up.
My console, I can jailbreak it now.
Oh, you can jailbreak your console?
Yeah.
The Xbox?
No, my PlayStation.
Oh, even better. Because fuck PlayStation.
Well, yeah, I'll talk about it later.
Mm-hmm. My favorite games are PlayStation games, but I'm not a fan of anything.
I just don't want to overtalk the show.
Mm-hmm. We can talk about it in a bit. Ah! He's not like Am. Yeah, see, Bubble's still my favorite. No, no, no. Yeah, we're fucked. The eyeball! I love that his eyeballs can rotate independently in his head. Yes! Mm-hmm. Good job. He's gonna break it! It's spooky! So... Ooh, this is interesting. So he's finally, like, kinda doing the thing. No! Gooey goo! Whoa!
Oh!
That's trippy as fuck! I love that! Whoa, no, not the goo!
They made that look.
No! What did you say, Shiny? The eyes! Whoa! Whoa! Ragathon does not like knives. I'm curious if she's actually been stabbed before. Come on, work faster, bud! Come on, you are fast!
Why he has that.
Yeah. Come on, buddy, you're fast. Yeah, that's what I noticed. Oh, this is cool. All the different parts. Okay, Jax is kind of a... This is kind of... Come on! Oh, that's painful. No. I hate that!
So that was his bunny suit. Who he actually is.
Yeah! The heat vomit space is terrifying, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Okay, here you can see it.
Oh.
Unpeels the rabbit.
What is that called?
He's skinned the
Flay?
rabbit.
No.
Flayed?
No.
Yeah.
Flayed, yeah.
Yeah, it's flayed.
Flaying.
Skin the rabbit. I'm like, ugh.
But they just loved him.
They did. I hate that so much. Ugh. It makes me like my nerves tense up in my arms. Ugh.
Want me to bring my medical book over and you can
Yeah,
my medical book? What
I
I'm supposed
know.
to expect as an EMT?
Yeah, you're expect. This is why I'm not an EMT. This is why I'm a furry I person watching a TV show about AI and do code faster. You should be an expert at coding. Code faster, man. Whoa. We don't want to torment you. Go faster, bud. Yeah, buddy. You're not doing a good job. Oh. Were you able to kind of like I don't think you should have deleted him. Uh-oh. 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 Uh-oh, that's bad. Can you use the points every now and then? The darkness calls me.
I have a total of 500 points right now.
Oh, broke bitch.
Well, I wait until I get a couple, and then I use them to spam you, and then I
No!
on the other thing.
No, you deleted him instead. That's bad. Is Bubble still good? Oh, you can swear now. Yay! And that's it. That's it. Can we go back to where he got de-fucking gloved? The hell? What the fuck happened? What the hell? Look at him! Look at his ass! I like that that's Pomni. There's Kaufmo, Froggy, and Pomni. I forgot the frog's name. What was the frog's name?
I see that.
Yeah, that's actually Pomni. That's actually the frog, and that's actually Kaufmo. But his face is like disconnected from where his actual face would be. And so is their face, because this is their eyeballs right here. This is the frog's eyeballs. The eyeballs would be up there. They fucked up.
Just a little, you can either say it was either laziness, or you can say
it was on purpose.
Pleasure for the viewer.
It was on purpose. It was definitely on purpose. Because Kaufmo's face, this is where like the side of his face is.
Yeah, I don't think if the eyes were where the eyes were supposed to be.
Oh my god, it does!
Looks like an alien.
The alien sensei.
Who?
You watch the anime. It's they have to assassinate the teacher.
Oh, Koro Sensei.
Mm-hmm. Assassin's Classroom, right? Or something close like that.
Yeah, you just say anime, alien, sensei, there's still gonna be a massive list.
Assassination Classroom! Yeah, it's the dude!
Yeah.
It's the guy! It's honestly the same storyline with what he is. Kind of the same vibe. I just...
Yeah.
I can't with him being degloved. Alright! Anyways, ignore that I have some of weird shit going on. Who's the CEO of AI Art? Okay, chill. Back to normal. Where'd my arms go? Here we go. Wow! It's supposed to reset everything when I go to the chill, but it doesn't! You like how it takes up my phone?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Joanna has spoken. Joanna has spoken many words. I have to fix my model real quick.
Your chat can still not hear Joanna has spoken.
What the fuck, man? Do you want to see like how they should be able to hear this?
Yeah.
Here it is, right here. 70% active on all sides. Go up here. This is the source clone. 70% active on all sides.
That's
bullshit.
Weird.
Bullshit that
I didn't hear it.
I know you didn't hear it, but I'm just so mad. I have to reset expressions. Okay. It kind of breaks my face, but it actually still detects a decent amount of my face when you do that.
And it was kind of funny to watch it.
Yeah, you can do this. It has a little bit of it has a little bit of problems. Oh my god. No, let me at least see what I'm doing a little bit. I need to trigger my hotkeys by name. Do 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 do. I hate that. Doot, 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 doot. What you doing? Oh, do I have to look at the Tadakmers? Hang on, I'll go back. We'll watch the credits just for you, just only for you and all for you. Yeah, just for you. We'll watch it just for you. Hang on. Whoop. Wink. Oh, my tail is fucked up. Whoop. Oh no. I hate it when I'm typing and it fucks up my names of things because I wasn't even in it. Go back to normal. Okay. No, can you please fix yourself? I would like to be fixed, please. Thank you. I like the open mouth gasp. There you go. Just for you. The skinned jacks. I like the Queenie. And Crazy Kinger's nice. I had to make sure you were behind me.
Someone reanimated Gate with some episodes of Fiends of Gate.
When is it coming out? When is it coming out? When is it coming out? Soon. Yay. Okay. I watched the ending just for you. Are you happy? All for you. I gotta fix my tail real quick. Because my tail is part of an expression, so it gets reset. Yay! Skinned and naked! He is boned. I had to do that. Sorry. So let me what?
The new season of Bachelorette was postponed.
The Bachelorette?
Yeah, was postponed because
Suspended?
suspended. Suspended.
Suspended?
Okay.
Why was it suspended?
Suspended.
Why?
Fuck you, now you got me messed up.
It was postponed.
Yes.
Suspended.
So it was that because a video from 2023 came out of her where she was she got into a fight with her ex-boyfriend or fiance, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And she started throwing shit at him, chairs and shit. She was just
crashed out.
And the 5-year-old throwing it right over the 5-year-old, and dad's trying to say, not with the child, let's not do this here, come on, and she's just fucking shit at him. So ABC, well, that's owned by Disney, so Disney came out and said, Yeah, nah.
Yeah, we're gonna not do that.
We're gonna get someone else.
Oh my god, that's crazy. Delete item.
Because there's no way they're putting her on Bachelorette.
The
after that.
Bachelorette. Oh my god, that's kind of crazy. Okay,
Justice. Ow.
hey, come here. Come here and say hi to my mother. So they asked who's talking. Introduce yourself to my own mom.
Hi, it's Ash. I'm here. This one invited me over and I was able to get some time away.
Mm-hmm. He bit me.
Not hard.
I know, I just went.
You actually put your teeth into me eye.
You don't sound sleepy? I didn't know that.
This one, she thinks she went into your stash, but she might have gone into Gary's by accident.
I accidentally grabbed Gary's stash.
Because I said, oh man, I forgot my pen. I don't want to go back home to get my pen.
Yeah,
And
so he's a little stone.
she gave me that, and I'm like, okay, cool. Here's $10 because, and I know I'm overpaying, but I don't know how much I'll smoke. And I'll buy them more if they want more.
It's the savvy one. That's the one that I keep seeing Papa drinking, so I think I did screw up and grab his. But that was the only one that was full, and I didn't want to grab the one that was like a ton of CBD. Because I know you. Oh, it's 6 months old. Okay.
Oh.
So you're probably fine about it then. You probably don't care.
I also have a Dutch Bro. I got Dutch Bros.
Got a big old thing of Dutchy Bros.
Got lost on the desk.
Oh. Uh-oh. Well, he cleaned out what was in the pipe. I don't know if you're okay with that, but he did do that.
Yeah.
He cleaned it.
She needed to dump it either way because I
Yeah.
went to go take a hit of it anyways, and it was just ash that I was inhaling. So I was like, yeah, that's this is dead.
Not good. No, no,
Just I do the thing where I forget to clean my pipe out after a sesh, so I come to the next time, and it's got my previous night in it, and I just hit it, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's ash.
Delicious.
One too many. I still do it.
One too many times.
Yeah.
At least I have Steal Snoot active now, so people can steal my Snoot. My namesake. My namesake. How dare you?
Oh.
I don't know what she's referencing either. I was lost in a desk.
Oh, weed.
You're a stoner. I'm not a stoner.
Did you see the silver moon?
Oh. That's funny. Oh, there's more Skinned Jack's work. We're looking at Skinned Jack. That's gonna be a thing now. I'm just gonna call him Skinned. Because Mario can't. It's a Cheshire Moon.
I thought that need dyslexia there.
You give him a schnecksent. You need a schnecksent to understand what the snacks you're talking about. Hint.
Need a second.
He's okay. Because Ashford can't read, I forced him to be have my headphones, so I can't hear anything.
That still didn't help me.
No. it's Google
I
Voice.
genuinely, at first,
Can I
thought
change?
it was a mess up, and then when I went to go read it to you, I
Oh,
full on was just read it as
It's
how I
Google.
was reading it because
We
yeah.
can have Microsoft read it to you or Edge.
It's okay where it's at.
We can have Microsoft Sam read it to you. It's Microsoft. Did you try to call me, woman? I'm right here. Okay, never mind. Can you go back to being me for a bit? Can you pretend to be me? Okay, he's not allowing me. Okay, everybody wants my damn attention. Holy crap. Evil, all of you.
I'm gonna go to the parking garage and take a picture of the moon.
Okay, do it.
I'm gonna do it because you've been obsessed with sliver moons your whole life.
Because it reminded me of the kitty cat that went woo.
The Cheshire Cat.
The Cheshire cat go woo.
Yes, and he goes meow. And
Meow.
he goes smile. It is one of those moons. I'm gonna go, and even though the cops are right here, I'm only drunk on ice cream.
Yippee.
Yeah. We sat there for 3 hours and then realized, oh, we were supposed to eat.
I love when that happens.
I love having friends that they're like, maybe physically a lot older than me, but not mentally. They're both.
Yep.
We're all little kids. We're never gonna grow up.
No.
Yes.
Never.
Never.
My
It's very important to go up to the top of. Let's take a picture of the moon. Oh, the moon's too low. I can't get a picture of it.
damn it. Well, tell me what you planning on doing. I'm just gonna go back to chatting to my phone.
Picture here, but I'll try to take a picture.
Okay. Love you too. Bye bye. Okay. We on board.
Oh, she's also on another show.
Huh?
The TMZ of Mormon Wives.
Where is that? What are you watching? Watch me pop this up.
NBC.
Ew, are you watching?
NBC News.
I like stupid stuff. Hello!
Yeah.
The fish. Okay, this is the guy that I actually liked. We're gonna. Good boy computer. Function computer does. Give me back my headphones. See, this is the person. Animation. So far, this guy has been in two indie animated shows, and in both the shows, he lost his whole life savings. I wonder if he's doing it on purpose at this fucking point. He's like, yeah, it's become a joke. Ooh. Oh, the Nowhere King, but with Kane? I'm gonna be stuck with this on my feed for like a few months now, so we're gonna endure it. Why do they all make his canines incredibly stabby? Someone's exercising on my fucking... Okay, we will stop streaming in like 5 minutes.
I was starting to get drowsy. I was sorry.
You're trying to not fall asleep on my floor?
Yes. I almost fell asleep on your leg.
I'm watching this.
So when I sat back down here, I'm like, crap, I'm gonna get drowsy again. So let's wake up some.
Yes.
Besides, I still need to do my daily crunches. I've been failing to do.
Ooh, I like the different faces, colors.
I'm currently back on a 3-day streak, but I'm failing still.
I'm a horrible streamer because I can fully be quiet throughout an entire thing, but then when we watch movies outside of streaming, I am loud and obnoxious as fuck! You can attest for how annoying I am. I had to get him stoned, though. He's fun to get stoned. We have fun. Anyways, the whole point is I was gonna watch that, and it was gonna be really boring. We're gonna watch that, and then we're gonna stop it because screw me. I gotta go wake him up. I'm gonna go slap him. You're gonna hear a what on.
Real fast. What is having you with such an offense of me just doing some quick bicycle crunches?
I want to bite your feet. That's why.
Why?
Because they're moving. Okay, we're gonna.
Okay, chat.
What?
I guess Kiwi's got a foot thing.
No, I just every time they keep getting in my face, I'm like, hang on. We have to play the Shrimp Quartet. I don't think you understand what the Shrimp Quartet thing is. I'm just fucking stupid, man. Do music. Alright. All the humans that joined, goodbye. Enjoy your day. I'm gonna go kick this man's ass. Bye-bye.